Don't watch this video if you've got money coming out of your ears and you're meeting all your financial goals. But for everyone else, stick around to learn how these 5 money mistakes are costing you big time. This is a follow-up to my first video of 10 money mistakes. It's linked down in the description. Hi, I'm Scott, and I compiled a huge list of money mistakes, and these 5 are so big, I had to make a video about them. So let's get started. Oh, and I've added a bonus 6th financial fail at the end, and it's a big one, so be sure to stick around for that. So many people don't pay enough attention to their credit score and don't audit their credit report, and this can end up costing you big time down the road when you need a loan for a car, apply for an apartment, or go for a home mortgage. You're entitled to review your credit report once every 12 months through annualcreditreport.com, and you definitely should, because 1/3 of Americans report finding an error in their credit report. Go through the different lines of credit, check things like your name and other personal information, addresses, go over it with a fine-tooth comb for anything that's wrong. For example, you might find that you paid your credit card on time, but it's reported as late. If you find something, file a dispute with the bureau that shows the error. Also be sure to check your credit score and try to increase it if possible. I'm not going to go into detail on that process, but there's plenty of resources online to help. People will tell you to cut your expenses and stop overspending, and I totally agree, but this will only take you so far. If you want to be financially free, you've got to maximize your income. This may seem obvious. I mean, who doesn't want to make more money? But have you really focused on this goal? Have you worked hard to get a raise? Have you explored the option of switching jobs entirely, which can lead to a higher income over time? Have you considered a second job? What about taking on a side hustle? What about learning a new skill or even going back to school to get a degree so you can get a much higher paying job? Don't just coast along with your current situation. Take control and focus on making more money over the next 12 to 24 months. And when you do, keep your spending the same and invest and save the excess. This can be an incredibly powerful technique. And speaking of the next 12 to 24 months, the next economic error is simply not having goals. And I mean written goals, either on a piece of paper or in a Word file, a text file, a Google Doc, or whatever, but they have to be written down. Each goal needs a time frame and then action steps to get there. Be sure to include short-term goals like this month, this year, and longer-term goals like 5 years, 10 years, and longer. There's a lot of good info on goal setting online, of course, so read up and get started today. I have to admit, I didn't have clear financial goals for myself when I was in my 20s, and I do think it ended up costing me a lot of time in the long run because I was sort of trying to build a house without a blueprint. Speaking of houses, our next money misstep is spending too much on housing. This could mean buying too much house, buying a house too soon when you can't really afford it, or of course, it could mean overpaying for rent. Whatever your situation, take a look at what you're doing and whether you could do something cheaper. Rent, for instance. Is there a cheaper part of town? Could you get a roommate? Could you live with your parents? Could you take on a second job as an on-site property manager in exchange for free rent? You got to look at all these options. To some degree, this relates to the mistake of not making sacrifices, which I talked about in my first money mistakes video. Check that in the description. Just because you have the money each month to pay for something, it doesn't mean you should. If you can shave $100 or $200 a month off your rent by moving someplace cheaper, then do it and invest the rest in your Roth IRA, pay down your credit cards, build up your emergency fund, do something important with that money. Housing is just one of the ways we show who we are to other people by spending money, which of course is called keeping up with the Joneses. Buying things like a more expensive car, house, vacation, or furniture, or clothes, or whatever, just because your friends and neighbors seem to have nicer stuff than you, or to impress them with your stuff. We've all been there. If a couple of your friends get new cars, you're probably going to want to get one too. If they have expensive weddings, you'll probably want to get one too. If they have the latest iPhone, well, you get the idea. So the key here is to start turning your attention away from other people and what they have and toward yourself and your goals and working on your inner confidence. If you follow all the advice in this video and some of my other videos, then eventually you'll come out ahead while your friends will still be in debt and working for decades while you have your financial house in order, so to speak, and hopefully be able to truly afford some of those luxuries. Before we get to bonus tip number 6, if you've learned anything from this video, please gently tap the like button and leave a comment about your money mistakes and successes. And now, since you stuck around to the bitter end, bonus boo-boo number 6. I was lying in bed last night, and seriously, that's not a joke. I was thinking about these money mistakes videos. Suddenly it popped into my head. Not one of the many articles I looked at for research had listed maybe the biggest mistake of them all, which is simply not educating yourself about personal finance in the first place. And I don't mean watching me in this video, I mean buying some books and sitting down and actually reading them. There are tons of great books out there. Just Google something like Best Personal Finance Books. But the point is that by reading 2 or 3 of these books, you'll have a much better handle on what you need to do and how you can get there. Watch this video next for more helpful information about money. Subscribe to Scott Talks Money for more awesome videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.